Hello, something slightly different this week. Instead of doing week notes, I'm doing quarter notes. For those that don't know, I divide my year up into 12-week chunks, and then on the 13th week, I do a look back at the previous 12 weeks and then planning for the coming 12 weeks. And the reason for that is when you're a freelance artist, it's very easy to sort of have no deadlines or them blending or things can just keep going. But when you have this cutoff of 12 weeks, then you get a chance to take stock of what just happened. And I find that a really useful way of working. So let's head to the studio and then look back at the past 12 weeks, which is going to be a little bit sketchy because at the start of the last 12 weeks, I didn't really have a plan. And I don't really have a good excuse for that. I think it's because the week fell over the Christmas, the New Year. It was also really cold here in the studio, which meant planning anything, like my brain just wasn't working. And also trying to sell the old studio is quite a lot of stress. So I went into the last 12 weeks without a plan. And I think that shows. Let's just review it. I've got it all down on index cards here. Let me come round. So here's the last 12 weeks. And we set aside the first 2 weeks just to get on with handwriting because I had all this handwriting stuff. When you're coding, you quickly try to do something and you have all these loose ends. I wanted to tie up a whole bunch of those loose ends and push it forwards a little bit. So I thought, I don't really know what I'm doing. So let's set aside the first 2 weeks here for working on handwriting. And then I did the same again with shop week here where I had a lot of loose ends to tie up. Then after that, I was working on transatlantic glide a bit, tag here, and then a whole bunch of admin. But throughout the whole of that, through doing this, that's when I started to get this idea that I really like working on the process of running an art studio, running the shop, of doing all this type of stuff. Possibly a little bit more than generating the art at the end. That's not true, I kind of swing backwards and forwards. But that's when I started thinking about the process and trying to work out what it meant. So while still working on Transatlantic Glide, I started having chats with friends. I always find it really helpful to go talk to your friends, ask them, go, this is what I'm thinking about. So we're already halfway through these 12 weeks here when I'm starting to kind of work out what's going on. These 2 weeks are the 2 weeks of doom. Not all doom because it was Valentine's and we had a couple of birthdays here, but also the plumbing broke at the old studio right in the middle of me trying to sell it, so I needed to sort that out, and it took forever. If you've seen those week notes, you'll know that I was stuck in the old studio, so I couldn't really do anything. But books did start arriving about arts-based research. So this talking here led me to go, oh, I ought to do arts-based research and write my artist statement. So the books arrived here, and then I set aside 2 weeks, much like this, to look at what art-based research is, what it means to me, what I ought to be doing, how does the stuff I'm doing in the studio, my process, actually relate to being an artist, or can it help other people? So I decided for the next year, I'm going to do arts-based research, but I didn't really know what that meant. So that's looking at that. And then the last 2 weeks was writing my artist statement because I hadn't had one of those before. It was suggested to me that maybe I ought to have an artist statement. So instead of just drifting around doing whatever I felt like, I could kind of focus in. So that's how the 12 weeks went, which is a review. It was a bit messy, it was a bit unplanned, and I didn't really know what I was doing, which is why I think I also focused in on the need to kind of get an artist statement and the need for arts-based research. I actually needed that focus. So in the end, turned out all right, but this is the first quarter where I haven't really planned out what I was going to do, and it felt a little bit messy, so I'm going to try not to do that again. So that this doesn't go on for too long, let's park that and go on to what the next 12 weeks is going to be. Well, let me grab you. To keep things really simple, the next 12 weeks is going to be just this. The mornings are going to go back to what they're supposed to be, which is me shipping things out, putting new things in the shop, doing my morning admin. I already have that nailed. I have a schedule for that. It's worked really well. I'll just go back to that. It means that if somebody hasn't bought anything, I kind of have the morning free because I don't need to ship anything. And I can do other stuff in those times. And what that other stuff is the pen plotting for these pen plotters here. Is doing the pen plotting tutorials. Finally, after 2 years of saying I'm going to do them, that's my only thing for the next 12 weeks. And it's going to take longer than 12 weeks because the videos I have planned, if it takes like 2-3 days to make each video, it's going to go over 12 weeks. But I think this will give me a chance to really dig into that and get those done. Even though I have my arts-based research statement and my artist statement, which are my North Stars, every time I think about doing something, I'm like, does this align with this or does it align with this? Which the pen plotting tutorials do. Those are the only things that I'm going to be doing pretty much the next 12 weeks. And it's fairly simple. Chris, who's upstairs, tends not to get in until slightly later in the morning. So if I script all the videos in the afternoon, I can come in the morning nice and early, shoot a video, and then edit it in the afternoon, then script the next one, and so on. So hopefully in about 3 weeks' time, I should be able to upload the first video, I think. We'll see how that goes. But the first batch of videos have to kind of drop all in one go because they only make sense launched together. Then after that, I can release like 1 or 2 a week. That's kind of optimistic. Maybe it'll be less than that. Who knows? Anyway, so that is my quarter notes, a slightly messy previous quarter, and a very simple single goal for the next quarter: morning admin, YouTube pen plotting tutorial videos, and that's it. And I should probably make a video about what week notes actually are, because I've been asked a few times what they are and why I do them, so I should probably do that as well. And I still need to make a video about my arts-based research statement and my artist statement. So there's 3 more videos I need to make even before I start anything else. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this. And like I've said in comments quite recently, these videos are kind of more for me to keep track of what I'm doing. So I really appreciate it when you're coming along for the ride and keeping up with what I'm doing. All right, on to the world of pen plotting tutorials. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Bye.